Having just announced he's running for the Tory leadership, Tom Tudendhat joins us now. Very good morning to you. You're on the front of the Daily Telegraph this morning. Tugendhat, I'm ready to leave the ECHR. Former Security Minister makes common sense conservatism pitch for the leadership. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Why you?
Well, I think that we've just seen in our politics that failing to deliver and losing the trust of the British people can cost us all dear, and there's many fantastic colleagues who haven't come back to serve in Parliament because we failed. And what I'm offering is the ability to come back in 5 years' time by making sure that we've got that record of delivery. And I think I've demonstrated that. I've demonstrated it on military operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've demonstrated it in Parliament, standing up to authoritarian dictators like China and Russia, which, as you know, has got me sanctioned. And I've demonstrated it in Cabinet as well as Security Minister, keeping our great country safe. And so I want to put all those skills to good use, serving our country, leading the Conservative Party and offering a choice at the next election. I think this country is amazing, and I look forward to making sure that we have a fantastic future.
We spoke to one of your rivals, whose hat's already in the ring, James Cleverly, a couple of days ago. He analysed the reasons for your disastrous performance at the polls a few weeks ago as the fact that you were a house divided, and people don't like voting for a party that's divided. What he didn't mention was the sleaze factor. We didn't have time to get to that. I'd like to ask you about that. How are you going to address the Tory, I have to put it in these terms, the Tory sleaze factor? And by that, I mean Partygate and the aftermath, and Gamblegate. The fact that so many people in the party who were on the inside and knew that an election was going to take place, went down the bookers and put a bet on. Cheated the system, basically. It was a terrible moment for you in the election. It infuriated Rishi Sunak. We know that. It upset him deeply, actually. How are you going to address the Tories' current reputation for being a bit on the fiddle?
Well, Richard, look, you're right. It was completely unacceptable. There's absolutely no excuse for it, and I'm not going to defend it. What we need to be doing is cleaning up our own act to make sure that we can serve the British people. And that's why I think it's not just about delivery, it's also about trust. We need to make sure we regain the trust of the British people. And we do that by cleaning up our own house and making sure we're ready to deliver. Now, I've demonstrated delivery, as I say, in various different ways already. And I think that having the integrity to be honest with ourselves about the areas where we failed is an incredibly important part of rebuilding and regaining that trust. And as Conservatives, you know, we have demonstrated time and time again that when we are in line, in tune with the common sense values of the British people, we're able to govern this country incredibly well, incredibly successfully, in ways that promote the prosperity and security of the British people. And that's what we've got to get back to.
You did back Liz Truss. Now, we know that that went disastrously wrong and people's mortgages went sky high. And that is, you know, the trust has gone, hasn't it? You backed Liz Truss's plan for the economy. Was that one of your major mistakes?
Look, I stood against every other leadership contender at the last time, and then I was left with a choice of two, as you know, and what I'm doing now.
Horse.
Well, look.
That is your judgment that's on display there, isn't it?
I think Liz demonstrated a recklessness that I think many of us that surprised all of us. I think what we need to do.
Did you not know that these were unfunded tax cuts? I mean, does that show a lack of sort of care and thoroughness on your part when you declared your backing for her?
I think what we need to be focused on is how do we fix this country in the future? The reality is that we've seen huge challenges in the past. We've seen the challenges of COVID. We've seen the challenges of Ukraine. Let's
just concentrate on Liz Truss for a moment, because she was our Prime Minister for a short period of time and she trashed the economy and everything. It was a dreadful moment for this country around the world in terms of our reputation and our finances. You came out and backed her. I mean, that is pretty fundamental, isn't it, in terms of your judgment?
Look, I have served in different governments in the recent years, and I've served because I think the security of this country matters, and that's exactly what I was asked to do, and that's exactly what I've delivered on. And so what I'm trying to do is to make sure that we rebuild the trust that we need to be able to govern this country and serve the British people. And what we need to be doing is focusing on the challenges that are facing us in the future. You know, over the last 3-4 years, you're absolutely right. We have failed to deliver. That's exactly why I'm standing, because I think we need to unite this country. We need to rebuild that trust, and we need to deliver.
One more quick question before we leave you. Many more interviews to do this morning. Front page of the Telegraph today saying that, that you're promising that we will leave the European Court of Human Rights. Is that true?
So what I said is we've got to be prepared to look at every institution, every relationship that we are part of, because I think we need to make sure that every institution serves the interests of the British people. And I think that's what we've got to do ruthlessly with every single alliance and treaty, make sure that they deliver for the British people. And we need to make sure when they don't, that we adapt them and reform them, and when they do, that we promote them and support them. And that's exactly what we need to do, because we've seen over recent years that we have failed to deliver on many issues, including migration, and we need to make sure that we are prepared to fix the solutions, to find the solutions, that fix the problems that the British people see.
Tom Tudendhat, thank you so much. Thank you. Caroline, Salma, look, from your point of view, political advisor to those high in office in the Tory party, what do you make of that? Because obviously that pitch isn't to the public, it's not to the voters, because none of us get a say in it unless you're a member of the Conservative Party and you're a Conservative MP. You will decide. I mean, the question for the party surely is, do we go towards the Suella Braverman, the right of the party, bring in those who went to reform, neutralise Farage, you know, that kind of thing? Or do we go for somebody like him who is sort of, you know, down the middle, sort of a centrist, almost, you would say, possibly to the left of the right, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so you're right. That's the correct categorisation. Do you unite the right or do you push out from the centre? And someone like me who thinks you've got to push out from the centre, like Tom Tudendhat, he would be a good candidate in my view. But there is that overhang from... I mean, Liz Truss is still going on about stuff. I don't know why anybody still pays any attention to her, but nonetheless, she
pay a lot of money to
because
do
that's
it, apparently.
the Tories lost the election.
But there is still a lot of people who are sort of caught up in the European issue, which is why you will hear people like Tom Tudendhat and James Cleverly still talking about the ECHR. And there are a lot of people who are still caught up in fiscal conservatism and questions about the state. And so there is still a real disconnect between this small grouping of parliamentarians and a wider sort of community of Conservatives about
Caroline,
what is the answer.
What about my point to him about the desperate need for the Tories to change their image,
well,
which is so tarnished?
Yeah, I mean, and they've got some big choices, mate. I mean, clearly, you know, it was completely unbelievable in that election campaign how the Gamblegate thing took hold. I mean, it just...
You couldn't make it up,
for the
could you?
public as well, it's a plague on all their houses. It sort of says to the public, you're just venal, it's a game for you. And I think that's where the public are fed up, if they feel that politics is a game. But I think with Tom Tudendhat as well is that it's part of the choice for all the candidates in this election. Clearly, when we saw the outcome of the voting, reform were very much taken from the Tory votes. Yes, from maybe some from Labour who didn't. Yeah, definitely on that Ranvir. But they've got to make a choice. Going forward, is the Conservative Party going to embrace reform and Farage into its fold, or is they going to do something different? And the truth is that Tom Tudendhat in The Telegraph is pitching to the right. And you're right, Ranvir, this isn't about the public, this is about winning in the Tory party. And he can't win on the platform he stood last time, which was
that's not just pitching to the... If you're going to try and unite and broaden, you have to say something to the right. You have to say something to the left. But you know, this is not.
It's got to be authentic. It hasn't in the past said leave the European Court of Human Rights.
Labour had this cycle previously around its own identity crisis, and it's been an amazing achievement. But that is because Keir Starmer has come so close to the centre that there are things that he does now that even me as a Tory, I go, oh yes, that's quite good.
Don't get me wrong here. Look, when political parties are choosing a leader, the public aren't often there, because the people who are voting are the members. So you've got to look where the members are. And he knows from his last time round, he came in a poor position behind Kemi Badenoch and behind others. He wasn't that great on the hustings. So maybe one of the reasons why he came out for Liz Truss, he was saying, I've got to show that I actually can be a bit on the right, rather than just seen in the centre-left of the Tory party. And now, I mean, even then, Ranvir, when you said about the European Court of Human Rights, the headline in The Telegraph is, I think we should leave.
Yes, that's
but
right.
also, now he's saying to you, no. I think we might need to talk about this.
That's unfair. He said we should be prepared to leave, and I thought actually he acquitted himself very well.
The interesting thing is, of course, that will play on Keir Starmer in the end, because if we don't tackle immigration in the next 5 years, the ECHR will be a really big point of contention at the dispatch box. Anyway, it's an interesting point. Thank you.